I will find a pan.
Patrick, will you grab the shrimp?
Need a cutting board, guys? We need this on a pan of ice.
That's what I thought you wanted.
The idea of grilling shrimp on sugarcane actually comes from Southeast Asia. There's a traditional Vietnamese dish where you take shrimp mousse and mold it onto sugarcane and grill it. Sugarcane has fueled the Caribbean economy for centuries as a sweetener and as an ingredient for rum. I think you'll love the way the cane sweetens the shellfish from the inside out. Step number 1, the glaze. It starts with 8 tablespoons of salted butter, 1/2 cup brown sugar, Dijon mustard, cinnamon, and cloves for a tropical flavor, distilled white vinegar, and a generous splash of rum. Okay, and you want to simmer these ingredients on the stove or on the side burner of your grill. Cook the sauce until thick and richly flavored, whisking from time to time. Cooking time about 5 to 8 minutes. Let me show you how to put together the shrimp. Now, these are sugarcane swizzle sticks. They're sticks cut from whole sugarcane. You can buy them packaged at most supermarkets. And what you want to do is you want to cut off one edge here to make a sharp point. What you do on the shrimp, you make a starter hole using a metal or bamboo skewer. You just want to twist it a couple times to kind of widen that hole. And then insert the sugar cane, pointy end first, through the shrimp. These shrimp, by the way, are U10s. That means there are 10 shrimp to a pound. They are what we would call jumbo shrimp. They've been peeled and deveined. And next thing you want to do is oil, salt, and pepper the shrimp. Little extra virgin olive oil. We'll brush the tops of the shrimp. Now, sugarcane is actually not native to the Caribbean. It was brought there by Christopher Columbus on his historic voyage. Became a very important staple, both as a sweetener and as an ingredient for a new distilled beverage. The European settlers craved wine and brandy, but grapes wouldn't grow in the Caribbean. So they decided to still fermented sugarcane juice. The Latin word for sugarcane is saccharum. It was shortened to a beverage we all love, rum. Okay, we have one more preparation, an aluminum foil grill shield. Fold your aluminum foil in 3, like a business letter. And you want the shiny side out so it will reflect the heat. Okay, let's set up the grill. And while we're back here, let's just give a whisk to our glaze, which has thickened into a luscious sauce. Grill preheated to high. You'll remember the grill master's mantra, keep it hot. 1 Caribbean, 2 Caribbean, ouch. Keep it clean with a few swipes of our wire grill brush, and keep it lubricated or oiled. And here is a cool technique. Take a half an onion, dip it in oil, and rub it across the bars of the grate. Take your grill shields and you want to lay them along the front of the grill. And that way, when you put the shrimp on the grill, it will keep the sugarcane skewers from burning. Put a second row on the grill, and the shrimp in the first row will act as a shield. Cooking time is quick, about 2 to 3 minutes per side. Turn the shrimp over. By the way, if you wanted to give this recipe a Southeast Asian accent, you could use stalks of lemongrass instead of sugarcane. or for an Italian accent, use sprigs of rosemary. The important thing to learn here is the idea of using a flavored skewer. Baste the shrimp with this rum brown sugar glaze. And I actually like to cook the glaze right into the shrimp on the grill. And the way you tell the shrimp are done, well, first of all, the poke test, they feel firm to the touch. You can see by the color. Take the shrimp off, and I'm gonna start in the middle here. Remember, the shrimp in the center cooks a little more quickly than the edges, so we'll give these guys on the edges just a few more minutes. And if they get a little bit too hot, you can certainly use a set of tongs to take the shrimp off. Just to finish up, what you can do is just take a little bit of this sauce and ladle it over the shrimp. It's a really nice sauce, kind of sweet with the mustard and vinegar to balance the sugar. And then any leftover sauce can go into a bowl to serve with the shrimp. For dipping, a little cilantro kind of reinforced that Caribbean flavor. And there you have it, shrimp grilled on sugarcane with a mustard, rum, brown sugar sauce. Let's see how we did. This is really nice. The shrimp has a great smoky flavor and the rum comes through. And best of all, you bite it and you get that little squirt of sugarcane juice. It's the quintessential taste of the Caribbean. To the crew, I just want to let you know there's another batch for you all to try that doesn't have a bite out of each shrimp. The making of a show like Primal Grill may seem easy when you watch it on your screen, but an enormous amount of work goes into it. And I wanted people to see the work that goes into it, to see how we prep the food, how we keep the fires burning. It's sort of a major organizational and logistical challenge. In the 17th century, French pirates gathered on the north coast of Haiti, where they took to smoking meats like the natives. The local word for smoke was boucan, and the pirates became known as buccaneers. That's the origin of our last dish, buccaneer baby backs. As with so many dishes on Primal Grill, it begins with a rub. Start with coarse salt, brown sugar, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, ground cinnamon, and ground cloves for a tropical flavor, cayenne pepper or hot paprika. Mix the ingredients with your fingers to break up any lumps that may be in the brown sugar. For the rib, I'm using a baby back. It's a rib that's cut right next to the backbone. We have an expression in American barbecue. We say eating high off the hog. These ribs are the most tender and the best marbles. What you want to do is sprinkle the rub over the ribs and rub the spices into the meat. If you're a newcomer, baby backs are great ribs. They're very tender and they cook quickly. And the cloves and the cinnamon really give these ribs a nice tropical aroma. These baby back ribs came peeled. If there's a skin on, you just pry it off with the probe of your instant read meat thermometer. And if you want to cook a number of racks of ribs in a small space, you can stand them upright in a rib rack. When you place the ribs in the rib rack, you want the fat part of the ribs upwards that way. As the ribs cook, the melting fat will baste the meat. Now the grill. We're working over charcoal. It's much easier to smoke on a charcoal grill than a gas grill. And I've lit natural lump charcoal in a chimney starter. What you want to do is set the grill up for indirect grilling. That means dumping the coals into these side baskets. and leaving the center of the grill open. Now take a couple of aluminum foil pans and place them in the bottom of the grill. The foil pans actually serve two purposes. First, they catch the dripping fat from the ribs, and second of all, they force you to have an indirect grilling setup. Simply grab the ribs, place them on the grill directly over the drip pan away from the heat, and then to generate smoke, place a good tongueful on each mound of coals. Cover the grill, and you want to position the vents so that it's between the two mounds of coals. That way the smoke will be drawn up evenly. Cook at a temperature of about 325 to 350 degrees. Yeah, I know that's a little bit hotter than the low-slow method used for spare ribs, but with baby backs, I like to work at a higher heat. The meat comes out a little bit more crisp. The next step is to make the pineapple spray glaze. Start with pineapple juice. To it, add dry white wine, rum, and Worcestershire sauce. And the cool thing here is that we'll place the spray glaze in a spray bottle and spray it directly on the ribs. Pineapple is native to the New World. It was one of the first fruits brought by Columbus back to Spain. Okay, and then simply attach the sprayer. Good. Now, the ribs have been cooking for about 30 minutes. And what you want to do is just spray the ribs with this pineapple mixture. And what this does is helps keep the ribs moist and adds an extra layer of flavor. We'll cover the ribs and cook for another 30 to 40 minutes. And they look beautiful. And the way you check for doneness is you actually look at the ends of the bones. You can see the meat has shrunk back by about 1/4 inch. That tells you the ribs are ready. I'm going to do one final preparation here, and that is I'm going to place the ribs directly over the fire and baste with a little bit of our pineapple rum barbecue sauce. The idea is that you actually sear the sauce right into the meat. The recipe for the sauce is on our website. One very common mistake in cooking ribs is to put the sauce on too early. Remember, most barbecue sauces contain sugar, and the sugar will burn. So if you put the barbecue sauce on, do it right at the end. So here are the Buccaneer baby backs. Another test, they'll be tender enough to pull apart with your finger. What you do is just cut the ribs into 3 or 4 bone sections. Arrange them on a platter, just like the Buccaneers would have done. We have nailed these. That smoke and fruit flavor is really nice. So there you have it. Shrimp grilled on sugarcane, Jamaican jerk chicken, and Buccaneer baby backs from the birthplace of barbecue on Primal Grill. You probably know the Caribbean as a hotbed. Hotbed. So there you have it. Is that it was here that the Taino Indians developed a unique, me. Today on Primal Grill, we visit barbecue's birthplace, the Primal Grill. Gaucho beef ribs, roasted in front of a bonfire, as they do in Brazil. Brazilian pineapple, it's dessert on the grill with a difference. Chicken in a salt crust, a unique technique from Uruguay. From the beautiful Esplendor Resort in southern Arizona, I'm Stephen Reichland. Today, we're grilling Gaucho style. There's something about the open range that brings out the griller in all of us. The cattle drives, the diamond skies, the cowboys gathered around the campfire. Today, we travel to South America, home of gaucho ribs, salt crust chicken, and spit-roasted pineapple. Get ready for some authentic gaucho grilling. Visit the iconic Brazilian steakhouse Fogo de Chão, and you'll see dinosaur-sized racks of beef ribs roasting on stakes in front of a bonfire. But excellent gaucho ribs can be prepared in a charcoal or gas grill. Forget about fancy seasonings. These bad boys are all about the beef. First, the ribs. These are beef long ribs. Each section weighs 6 to 8 pounds. And the first step is to remove the membrane on the inside of the ribs, to simply pull it away from the ribs. And because this membrane is slippery, grab it with a paper towel and then simply pull it away from the ribs. And you may need to come in at the other end and loosen the membrane here as well. Why is it so important to loosen this membrane? Well, first of all, it's tougher than the rest of the beef, and it also impedes the absorption of the smoke and spice flavors. And that, my friends, is the hardest part of the preparation. Now, generously, and I mean very generously, season the ribs on all sides with coarse salt. Brazilians call this sal grosso, coarse salt, and freshly ground black pepper. And rub these seasonings into the meat. Turn the ribs over and season the other side. Using coarse salt like this helps give you a savory crust. Okay, so I'm going to cook 2 of these ribs on stakes in front of a fire, fogo de chão style. Fogo de chão literally means ground fire. And to do that, you want to make a starter hole using a metal skewer that runs through the ribs. Then, using a rotisserie spit, insert it through the ribs and secure the meat with the first set of prongs. Next, place the second set of prongs and secure the meat as well. And your ribs are now ready for roasting in front of the campfire. If you don't have a campfire, let me show you how to prepare these ribs on a charcoal grill. Now, set your grill up for indirect grilling, live lit natural lump charcoal in the side baskets, and arrange a couple of drip pans in the center. Place the grill grate on top and place your ribs fat side up in the center. Why is it so important to place the ribs fat side up? You want the melting fat to baste the meat as the ribs cook. Last of all, to give you some of that smoke flavor you'd get from a campfire, take soaked hardwood chips and place a tongueful on each basket of coals. Cover the grill with the vent positioned between the mounds of coals. You want to be cooking at about 350 degrees. Cooking time for a rack of ribs this size, about 3 to 3.5 hours. Now I'm going to grab our skewered ribs and head out to our fire pit to show you how to cook on an authentic fogo de chão. What you want to do is just hammer your vertical spits into the ground in front of the fire. Now, we formed a fire pit out of these rocks, built a log fire about 2 hours ago. We let it burn down to embers. I'll put on logs every 15, 20 minutes. And we're gonna cook the ribs using the radiant heat of the fire. And once your steaks are in place, at this point you can toss another log on the fire. The radiant heat will cook the ribs, and then the rising smoke from the wood will smoke it. So you're gonna get unbelievable flavors. That's why all I needed was salt and pepper. And just give the ribs a turn every 30 to 40 minutes. You want them to cook evenly. If the fire burns too hot, simply pull the steak back. If it burns too cool and they're not cooking fast enough, tilt the steaks forward. Heat control, primal grill style. And take a look at our gaucho beef ribs. Now, how do you know when the ribs are done? Well, look at the top. You can see the meat has shrunk back by about an inch from the top of the bones. And if you look at the back here, the meat is tender enough almost to pull apart with your fingers. So this one is done. So I'll take this one off. And check it out. Here are your gaucho beef ribs. Unscrew the prong. Remember, the screw will still be hot. Then slide the ribs off the spit. And after you've shown off the ribs, you can cut them into individual bones using these gaucho-sized knife. You see the knife glides right through the meat. So here's the gaucho beef rib. You can take a spoonful of country-style hot sauce. The recipe is on our website. Oh man, this beef is so tender, and you'd never dream that it has just salt and pepper on it. Gaucho beef ribs, big, bold, and primal, because sometimes the best way to cook ribs is to do as little to them as possible. The first thing that struck me about the gauchos of Argentina and Brazil is their incredible passion and enthusiasm for what they do. They embrace the gaucho lifestyle. Look, I mean, South America is industrialized now, you know, much as North America is. But the gauchos have really held on to their culture, their traditional garb, their folklore customs, their sports, their horsemanship, and especially their style of barbecue.
That was it.
When it comes to rotisserie grilling, no one beats Brazilians. They've built the ancient art of spit roasting into sophisticated restaurants that serve the entire meal on the grill, even dessert. I give you pineapple cooked on a spit. First step, peel the pineapple by slicing the rind off in even strips. Next, lay the pineapple on its side and cut out the eyes by making a series of V-shaped cuts. These ridges will help the spiced sugar stick to the fruit. I arrived in Rio Grande do Sul one Friday night and embarked on a barbecue crawl that took me to 4 restaurants. I didn't finish eating until 2 o'clock in the morning. Just another day on the barbecue trail. Once your pineapple is peeled, make a starter hole from one side to the other with a metal skewer. Then insert the rotisserie spit through one side of this pineapple and out the other side. Secure it on one set of prongs, then place the other prongs on the spit. The pineapple is ready for spit roasting. Now, let's set up the grill. Light a chimney full of natural lump charcoal. Then pour the coals into the side baskets. The setup is just like you do for indirect grilling. And if you have a few stray coals, pick them up with tongs. Then place an aluminum foil drip pan between the side baskets filled with coals. Now place the pineapple on the rotisserie spit, through the hole in the rotisserie collar into the motor socket, and switch on the rotisserie. Let me show you how to make the rub. The spiced sugar is a sort of dessert rub. It starts with ground cinnamon and ground cloves added to granulated sugar. Stir to mix well. The last thing is simply to sprinkle the dessert rub over the pineapple. Do this while your guests are gathered around the grill. Never underestimate the importance of showmanship when you're grilling. To speed up the cooking process, you can cover the rotisserie. Cooking time about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the ripeness of the pineapple. And every 5 minutes or so, you want to sprinkle the pineapple with more spiced sugar. You do this in several layers as the pineapple cooks. The idea is to create a caramelized spiced sugar exterior.
And ready, camera, and action.
So here's your spit-roasted pineapple. It looks luscious and crusty. Switch off the rotisserie motor. Remove the spit and transfer the pineapple to a cutting board. To loosen the hot screw of the prong, use a fork, ease the prong out of the pineapple. Pull out the spit and you're ready for business. In Brazil, they'd carve the pineapple right off the spit onto your plate. I like to slice it crosswise and serve it like a pineapple roast. You can see it's crusty on the outside and just luscious and tender inside. And how good does that look? Let's take a taste. It's like pineapple caramel candy. The next time you're looking for a delectably different dessert, think Brazilian spit-roasted pineapple. Francis Malman is the most famous grill master in South America, the sort of guy who once filmed an entire series on grilling on a glacier in Patagonia. So when I first heard about his salt-crusted chicken cooked in an horno al barro wood-burning oven, well, I bought my plane ticket for Uruguay the next morning. The salt crust seals in the moistness and flavor. The spectacular presentation speaks loud enough for itself. Start with a 4-pound chicken, preferably organic. Cut a whole clove of garlic in half and rub the outside of the chicken. Then place the garlic in the cavity. Cut a whole lemon in half and rub the outside of the chicken. Place the lemon half inside the cavity. Next, place a couple of fresh bay leaves in the cavity and a couple of rosemary sprigs. Next, fold the wingtips under the chicken. And take about 2 feet of butcher string and truss the chicken. Bring it under the tail of the chicken and over the ends of the drumsticks. Loop through once and pull the chicken tight. Then pull the ends of the string between the thighs, under the wings, around and under the chicken, and tie again on the other side. Make 1 loop, then a 2nd loop. Pull tight. That is a surgeon's lock knot. Then loop the end through and tie the chicken tight. And cut off the ends of the strings. Season the outside of the chicken all over with freshly ground black pepper. And sprinkle the chicken with rosemary as well. Why bother trussing the chicken? It gives it a more compact and professional looking appearance. Next, the salt crust. Start with about 6 pounds of coarse salt, kosher or sea, and pour it into a bucket. Then add about 2 cups of water and start mixing the salt. You're looking for a mixture with the consistency of wet snow. Francis Melman actually has 3 restaurants in South America, including one in Garzon, Uruguay. He's also the author of a spectacular book on live fire cooking called 7 Fires. Okay, now to put this all together, take some of the salt and arrange it on a cast iron plate to make a pedestal. Place the chicken on top and then completely pack it in and surround it with the salt mixture. This process of salt crusting and baking is not limited to South America. It's also a popular technique in Italy, where it's used to make salt-crusted branzino, sea bass. Pat the salt crust with your hands to make sure there are no cracks or fissures. Let me wash my hands, and I'll show you the oven. This is a wood-burning oven. It's lined with Firestone. This is the home-size model of the professional ovens used in pizzerias and restaurants with wood-burning ovens. A few hours earlier, I built a hardwood fire, and you use whole logs on a bed of embers. It takes about 2 hours for the oven to come up to temperature. Push the embers back against the back of the wall to make room for the chicken. Temperature 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Ouch! It's about a 400-degree fire. So take your chicken and place it in the oven. Cooking time will be about 1.5 hours. And what you want to do is turn the chicken halfway through so it cooks evenly on both sides. And you can close the door. I like to leave it partially open so you get good airflow. What's going to happen, you have both the radiant heat from the Firestone, the direct heat from the coals, and the smoke that's going to infuse and permeate through the salt crust. Now, let me show you how to make the sauce. The sauce is a simple variation on South American chimichurri. It starts with salt, freshly ground black pepper, and garlic. Mash these ingredients together into a paste with the back of a wooden spoon. This releases the aromatic oils from the garlic. Next, add finely chopped flat leaf parsley, a sort of breath freshener that counteracts the pungency of the garlic, and diced fresh tomato. Finally, whisk in the best South American extra virgin olive oil you can find. The idea is to make a simple condiment that complements, not overpowers, the chicken. And you just want to check the seasoning. Bingo! That is fantastic olive oil. So we'll open the oven door and just rotate the chicken. Remember, the pan will be excruciatingly hot, so wear thick protective gloves. And you can use a meat hook to help you turn the cast iron plate. So we'll continue cooking the chicken another 40 minutes. The chicken should be done. And place it on a large baking sheet. It's very hot, so you want to let it sit for a few minutes. Now, how do you know the chicken is cooked? Well, if you make this often enough, you sort of get a feel for it. But you can also use an instant read meat thermometer. Gently tap it through the crust. You're looking for 180 degrees? We've got it. Take a heavy implement like a cleaver and of course, you want to do this in front of your company because it's just so utterly cool. The fragrance of the lemon and rosemary, really nice. So then you want to take a pastry brush and start brushing off the excess salt. The idea of salt crusting, an ancient technique designed to seal in moisture and flavor. Finally, don't forget to cut the trussing strip. Let's see how we did. Take a couple slices of the breast meat. And you can spoon a little of the parsley tomato sauce. That chicken is so moist. And surprisingly, it's not in the least bit over salty. So that's it, folks. Gaucho beef ribs, spit roasted pineapple, salt crusted chicken. High drama from South America and grilling at its gaucho best. See you next time.
Okay, let's get in there and clean it up. Very nice.
All right, everybody in. So we're gonna do a test on the chicken and the salt crust. We cooked it in the wood-burning oven. I just want to give it a whack. Hit it pretty hard. And beautiful. Hey, that's pretty cool, huh? Wood oven pizza, the way it was meant to be cooked on a hot stone with a wood fire. Sweet and sour duck, wood oven roasted in the style of Italy's Piedmont. Grilled pork chops, big bone chops with oversized flavor. From the picturesque Esplendor Resort in southern Arizona, I'm Stephen Reichland. Today we're firing it up Italian style.
So what is it, 400 pounds? No, that was like that.
It's a vision as old as civilization itself, a clay or brick oven fueled by a flickering wood fire. Today, the ancient art of Italian live fire cooking. Wood oven pizza, sweet and sour duck, and wood-grilled pork chops. From the piazzas of Rome to the hills of Tuscany, it's Italian fire on Primal Grill. You've seen me cook pizza on the grill. Now I'd like to show you the most traditional way of all to cook pizza, in a wood-burning oven. And it starts by proofing the yeast. To 1 tablespoon of dry yeast, add 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 tablespoon of warm water. Mix these ingredients together to make a sort of paste. Yeast is a microscopic organism. It eats the sugar and exudes carbon dioxide. It's those tiny bubbles of carbon dioxide that make the pizza dough rise. Next, place the flour in the bowl of a mixer. Add a little whole wheat flour, salt, extra virgin olive oil, and most, but not all, of your water. Finally, add the proof yeast. It's started to foam up and bubble. That shows you that the yeast is active. So add this mixture. So raise the bowl and switch on the mixer. And let the dough hook do your kneading. Now you can also make the dough in a food processor, and certainly you can make it by hand. It looks a little dry, so I can add just a little more water. What you want to do is make a soft, pliable, but not sticky dough. Once the dough comes away from the sides of the bowl in a smooth ball, stop the mixer, lower the bowl, take out the hook. And even when you make dough in a machine, I always like to knead it a little bit by hand to give it a human touch. Place it in an oiled bowl. Cover all sides with oil. Cover the bowl with plastic wrap. Let the bowl rise in a warm but not hot place until doubled in bulk, about 1 to 1.5 hours. And here's a batch of dough I made earlier. Take the dough, form it into kind of a log shape. Now, cut the log shape in half and half again to give you 4 even pieces of dough. Grab a floured baking sheet, then take each lump of dough and roll it into a smooth ball. And cover the dough balls with plastic wrap, then with a clean dish towel. Let the dough rise again about 30 minutes. This is a home-style wood-burning oven. It's lined with refractory stone, which both absorbs and reflects the heat. Takes about 2 hours to preheat. You light a hardwood fire. The preferred fuel in Italy is oak logs. Push them in back with tongs. When you're ready to grill the pizza, what you want to do is push the embers to the back of the oven and give a brush to the bottom. Now let me show you how to put the pizzas together. Start with a little extra virgin olive oil, then tomatoes sliced about 1/4 inch thick. Then sprinkle tomatoes with chopped garlic, coarse sea salt, and finely ground black pepper. Next, for our bacon, onion, and potato pizza, again, a little extra virgin olive oil in the pan, then thinly slivered bacon or pancetta, diced onions, and diced potato. Stir to mix well. Again, a little coarse sea salt and freshly ground black pepper. Now, place the frying pans in your wood-burning oven. and roast until the vegetables are browned and sizzling. Cooking time will be about 5 to 8 minutes. Brush off any excess flour, then sprinkle your peel with cornmeal. This will help the pizza slide off. To assemble the pizza, first arrange the roasted tomatoes. Next, fontina cheese. Then torn leaves of fresh basil. A little bit more chopped garlic, coarse salt, and black pepper. Drizzle the top of the pizza with extra virgin olive oil and slide it into your wood-burning oven. So while the margarita pizza is cooking, let me show you how to make the bacon onion potato pizza. Take another ball of dough. Don't be too obsessed about making it perfectly circular. I like a free-form pizza. It's more rustic. And you just want to turn your pizza as needed. You want to keep the food moving. Spoon the bacon onion potato mixture on top of the crust. Then sprinkle the pizza with grated Romano cheese. And finally, a little chopped fresh parsley. And check this one out, our bacon onion potato pizza. So let's see how we did. Pizza margarita, bacon pizza, moment I've sure been waiting for. Wow, bacon, onion, potato, cheese, it's just amazing. And the margarita, roasting the tomatoes really gives them a rich, concentrated flavor. So there you have it. 2 pizzas hot from the wood-burning oven. It's Italian fire on Primal Grill.
Oh, yeah. Looks great.
There we go. Cesare Giacone is a chef's chef, drawing an A-list of foodies from all over Planet Barbecue to his rustic restaurant in Italy's Piedmont. They come for baby lamb spit roasted in a wood-burning rotisserie in the dining room. They come for a sweet sour duck, equally remarkable for its succulent flesh as for its soulful flavor. Here's how we make it. Start with a 5 to 6 pound duck. And using poultry shears, remove the backbone. Next, open the duck up and using a very large knife, cut it in half through the breastbone. Now, trim off any excess skin. Cut the tip off the wing. A duck is about 40% fat, so you want to cut off as much as you can before you start cooking. Next, using a sharp knife, score the skin on the breast meat, first in one direction, then the other. This will help release the fat as the duck cooks. Return the duck to the baking dish. Next, season the duck. First with coarse sea salt, freshly ground black pepper. Then finely chopped garlic and finely chopped rosemary. Last of all, a couple of shallots. And sprinkle the sliced shallots over the duck. Wash your hands in hot, soapy water. Finally, drizzle the duck with extra virgin olive oil. The fruitier you can find, the better. Marinate the duck for 1 to 2 hours. Meanwhile, let me show you the beehive oven. You can see how it got its name. It's one of the world's most ancient live fire cooking devices. And the way you fire up the beehive oven is using hardwood chunks or small logs. You want to leave yourself plenty of time to preheat the oven. Shove the coals to the back of the oven. You're looking for a 400-degree temperature. That would be a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Ouch, fire. Let me get the duck. Place it skin side down in a cast iron skillet. Why skin side down? You want to crisp the skin, then we'll turn it over halfway. And you can just spoon any of the shallots or olive oil on top. Then add a half a dozen whole shallots and a few whole sprigs of fresh rosemary. Place the duck in the beehive oven. Cooking time is going to be about 1 to 1.5 hours, and after 20 minutes, turn the ducks over. The idea is you want to brown the skin on the bottom first to make it nice and crisp, render out some of that duck fat, then turn it over to finish cooking. Also, remember, you have to rotate the duck periodically. The oven's a little hotter at the back than the front. You want the duck to cook evenly. Now, what about if you don't have a beehive oven? Well, you can also make Cesare sweet and sour duck on a gas grill. Set up your gas grill for indirect grilling. I actually preheated all the burners to screaming hot, and then I turn off the central burners. Classic indirect setup. Now place the skillet on the grill in the center over the unlit burners. And to generate some of that wood oven smoked flavor, place hardwood chunks in your grill's smoker box. And close the lid. If you don't have a smoker box, just put the wood chunks in a small cast iron skillet or even wrap them in aluminum foil. Poke a few holes on top. That's called a smoker pouch. Now close the grill lid. Indirect grill the duck. Cooking time's the same, 1 to 1.5 hours.
I'm coming on the other side. Okay, here we go. Come to me. Hold on one second.
Once the duck halves are lightly brown, turn them over. Continue roasting until the duck is completely cooked, another 45 minutes to 1 hour. The duck looks done, and it sure looks good, but to make certain, use an instant read meat thermometer. I like my duck medium well, about 175 degrees. To make the sauce, pour out the excess duck fat. Then deglaze the pan with red wine vinegar. Next, add honey. There's your sweet and sour. And duck stock or chicken stock. Whisk to dissolve the ingredients. Then you want to put the sauce back in the wood-burning oven for a couple of minutes to thicken it up. And once your sauce is thick and syrupy, simply whisk in butter to make it rich and glossy. And finally, salt and freshly ground black pepper to taste. Yeah. Okay, and the last thing you want to do is just strain your sauce That gets out any little burnt bits of rosemary or garlic. Then ladle your strained sweet and sour sauce over the duck. And there's the sweet and sour wood oven roasted duck. Can't wait to cut into this one. Look at that. You even get a touch of pink from the smoke. Now this is what duck is supposed to taste like. It's sweet, salty, with nice rosemary flavor. I think Cesare would be proud. Once you spend some time in Florence, you will find people of great warmth and food of tremendous character. Florence is also Italy's barbecue central. Florentines are absolutely obsessed with grilled meat. You've probably heard of bistecca alla Fiorentina, Tuscan porterhouse steak grilled with salt and precious little else. Well, here's a dish Tuscans keep to themselves. Grilled pork chops with onion sauce. The primal grill twist, you grill the pork and the onions over wood. First, the onions. These are called cipollini. They are traditional Italian onions, very sweet, very richly flavored, and flat, which maximizes the surface area exposed to the fire. The first thing you want to do is peel the cipollinis, cut off the bottom, and remove the papery skin, but leave the root intact. The root will help hold the onion together during the grilling. When you have to grill a lot of small items, the easiest way is to thread them onto a skewer. And I use a flat skewer so the onions won't spin around. This recipe was inspired by Buca Lupe, one of the most famous chop houses in Florence. So once you have your onion kebabs, brush them on both sides with extra virgin olive oil and season with coarse salt and freshly ground black pepper. This is a front-loading wood-burning grill. It burns wood chunks and logs. I'm using oak in the best Tuscan tradition. First, we'll put on the onions. They take longer to cook than the pork. Arrange the onions on the grate, root side up to start. Let me show you how to make the sauce. The sauce begins with dry red wine, balsamic vinegar, and honey. So it's a sort of sweet and sour sauce. Whisk the mixture until the honey is dissolved and place the pan on the grill. Boil until thick and syrupy, about 8 to 12 minutes. Meanwhile, don't forget to check on the onions. You want to grill them until soft and golden brown. And if you see the heat is not quite hot enough in one spot, you can just shift the logs over. This is an extremely interactive method of grilling. I love it. Check out these mammoth, long-bone, Tuscan-sized pork chops. Each one weighs over a pound. Start by brushing the tops of the pork chop with extra virgin olive oil and season with coarse sea salt and freshly ground black pepper. Now arrange the pork chops on the grill. These guys are big. Cooking time will be about 8 minutes per side. And while you're at it, turn the grilled cipollini onions. unskewer the onions. They are nice and tender, but not so soft that they fall apart. Beautiful. Now finish the sauce. Simply add the cipollini onions to the honey wine vinegar reduction and stir in about 4 tablespoons of butter and return the pan to the heat just to melt the butter. So give the chops their final turn. And for extra flavor, you can baste with the drippings that are channeled into the drip pan. When they feel firm to the touch, they're done. Man, did these look good. Spoon the cipollini onion sauce over the pork chops. And to finish, just a sprinkle of finely chopped flat leaf parsley. Check it out. Look how moist that pork is. Oh man, those smoky wood-grilled pork chops, the sweet onions, this is amazing. I hope you've enjoyed our show on Italian grilling. Wood-grilled pizza, sweet